Jambo, and welcome to another session of No Work Session, where I have guests come here and we try to find out, do they have a life outside work? Today's guest is somebody I met when I used to work at Aspen, and I thought his thinking was different. So we've been planning to meet for a while, since last year. So today we have finally managed to make it happen. Greg, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
It's nice to see you. I saw you last year.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
been quite a while since we met.
Yeah. Karibu. Now, we met at this event that we used to put together at Aspen. It was called Philosophy Fridays,
Yeah.
where the topics were very varied, very different. And the specific event we met at was Sangoma in the Closet.
Yeah.
And I remember just listening to different people air their views, and I thought, who is this guy who has such a different outlook to life? And the way I live my life, I like people who challenge my thinking, because sometimes you can be so stuck in how you think.
Yeah.
So just share a bit about your views about the Sangoma and probably what that is for anybody who doesn't know what the Sangoma is.
Yeah. So
Sangoma in the Closet specifically.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much. And thanks for the invitation to be on your show. I'm grateful for that. So the Sangoma in the Closet, it was basically exploring these different identities of people, but also looking deeper at who the African healer is and where they hide and why they still hide from the rest of the society. And whether us as people always go to explore that part of the world when we don't have answers that we're looking for. And I think in my conversation, I was more like, this is like an expression of the duality of life, that for every up, there has to be down. For every night, there has to be a morning. And therefore, for those answers that people can't find during the day, they'll find them at night. If they can't find them at night, they'll find them during the day. And the Sangoma plays a very critical role in our, and Sangoma is just basically a healer. It's somebody who's able to connect us with the other world that we don't necessarily perceive because of where we're grounded in physical reality, in work, in that. And so, as Wangari calls them in one of her books, it is somebody who's able to plump the psyche, the psyche of the African mind, to understand that which occurs beyond the physical. And so I believe, like in the question of African spirituality, these are very important people because they help us to understand what happens besides what we see, beyond what we see.
Interesting. But why do you think we don't go to them during the day? If we were to go to them, we'll go them at night or probably very hidden.
Well, it's the colonial project that sort of demonized everything about us, that connected us to our ancestors. And the connection to the ancestors is was our source of power, basically, being able to connect to the spirit world, to the ancestry, to understanding life beyond the physical. And so look at 100 years of colonization, Christianization, and capitalism. It has moved us so far away from who we really were. And so we are not really enthusiastic of seeing these people because of the label that has been attached to them, but also beyond the label that has been attached to them is like the fear of being ostracized by other people. We really mind about how we look, how we appear, who we are seen with. And so therefore, some of these things, even when we have very deep queries about them, we have to do them in private because we fear being ostracized by others.
But is it also because even if there are some who are doing it the right way and they have the power, there are some now who've come in and they're fake. We see all these posters, kwa barabara, I can do this for you.
The Mapenzi people.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine who's a healer, and what he's told me is that actually almost everything in the world is neutral. And what we mean by neutral is like technology is neutral, food is neutral. All these things that give us energy, it's particularly neutral. But you can use that energy for positive or for negative. For example, like even technology today, there could be AI for good, but there's other people that would not use AI for good, social media for good, and all that kind of stuff. So it's the meaning and the purpose that people attach to some of this. And I think for me today, what I'm particularly interested in is just deeply understanding what is African spirituality? What does it look like? What was the good uses of this? Like what was the, like for example, when people get together to grieve, like the disco matanga is such an important ritual within that community to grieve the person and to let the person who's died go in peace. And I'm particularly interested.
What is disco matanga?
Disco matanga is a funeral dance. Yeah, it's a funeral dance, and then the people organize like a sort of disco around it. The days before the burial, or even on the night of the burial. I think I've encountered it in parts of Western Kenya, but also I have, on an occasion, met it in the coastal part. I think I remember I was in Watamu.
Okay.
And so we walked into one. But it's like basically people grieve and let go of this person who has died before they can put them
Is it
beneath
like a
the soil.
celebration of life or something?
It's a celebration of life,
Yeah.
but also just letting go.
Letting go.
Letting go that this person has gone, and we need to release them from our middle and let their spirit reign wherever it goes.
I'm yet to experience that.
You're ready to experience
I'm
this?
yet to. Now, your friend who is a healer,
Yes.
how old are they?
They are in the they're in the I think in the early 40s.
Early 40s, because in my mind is telling me if I was to go to a healer, I'd want an older person. Just that's my mind telling me that. Like I want a mzee because I feel like he has experience, he's been exposed to life and all these things.
Yeah.
So if I was to go to a healer and they probably were the same age,
Yes.
I would probably not be very confident in what he's telling me.
Yeah.
And of course, he could be right
Yes.
because gifts come to different people at different point in
Exactly.
their
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
But my mind, as I said, is telling me, enda kwa mzee, he knows all these things. But now, the question I have probably is like, how do you become a healer?
How do people become healers?
Yeah.
Wow.
And is it, are there instances where it's a family, is it tradition? Like your grandfather,
handed down.
you're handed down, yeah.
There's, of course, I mean, in my observation and in my, various types of research, and I've read a lot, actually. I think in my library of books, I have about 60% of African sort of literature that, investigates African spirituality, practices, etc., cultures and stuff. And there is actually the part where these gifts repeat in families. They're gifts that repeat. And before that technology, and I will keep calling it technology in discussions because it's our way of connecting. It's our way of connecting. These were passed down. Our minds come pre-programmed with some, with some level of genetic composition that mirrors the past. That's how we get how we look. And that also includes some of these gifts that are hidden and would be explored and would show themselves up. And that's why you'll find in a family, if these carpenters, somehow, somewhere down the line, a carpenter would emerge, just naturally, or a painter will emerge. And then or a musician would emerge. So even if we went on to the talents that we mostly see on the streets, for example, you might find that is a recurrence from the past. So even with healers, it does come from, in my understanding, it does come from the lineage out of that.
Yeah.
But then there's also, I was having a conversation with someone else who told me that our type of initiation in this contemporary space, and this might answer to your question about the 40-year-old healer, and you'd be like, oh, what is actually, the initiation today is about reading books and understanding, Where does, what was the knowledge before? Because you don't have people that can really create that level of initiation by rituals and that kind of stuff. They're probably not there. But you read, especially a lot of what has been written within the, I call it the, especially around the Indian type of spirituality, like whether it's through the yoga, whether it's through the people that practice Buddhism, all that kind of stuff. When you read around that, you'll find that it mirrors a lot of what is happening or what has happened around here. It's just that we've never had it written or words like that. So we were making a joke that we might have to go through India to come back here to find ourselves, because it's very well researched and very well written. And so, yes, I see, I mean, I meet a lot of these type of people. I have a lot of conversations. It's part of my no work stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you have friends who go to healers and they come and share that with you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
I think probably I would try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would try?
Yeah. I don't know what for.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting, not even probably like to go and do something for me just to
yeah.
engage them. And
Yeah.
probably we'll talk about that later. I can organize a visit.
Sawa.
I would be so curious to see their
Yeah.
setup and how they just engage how they think.
Yeah.
Now, the other conversation that was coming up that didn't happen
Yes.
was black tax.
Yeah.
And, you know, I saw a post where people were saying Gen Z squeeze, they don't take care of their parents, like where Jipange.
Yeah.
Is that the case that's happening now? And is that the new future we are looking, you know, towards?
Yeah. I was particularly interested in this conversation.
Yeah, that would have
because
been interesting.
It
Yeah.
was so interesting to meet
Yeah.
these people and to like sort of, I had my points ready. I wanted to come and examine it because society has kept evolving, you know, and with that evolution has come different models of socio-economic codependence, if I would call it socio-economic codependence. Like how do people depend on each other and what is the expected roles and responsibilities and obligations and that kind of stuff. And for me, the idea of going to discuss black tax was just out of, I always say that the devil lies in the definition. How you define something is how you're going to treat it into the future, you know?
Okay.
And so black, of course, we know what that means and also the meaning that has been attached to that. And then, of course, tax is a function of capitalist economy generally, you know? Like we didn't have tax until the colonial project arrived and, you know, introduced this form of economy, you know? And so for me, it's also to look at like how it's labeled in itself is negative. So you're never going to have positive feelings out of labeling something negative from the word go, you know? And I was coming to pitch the idea of Ubuntunomics. That's why I wanted to come, which is basically a type of socio-economic codependence that has been there, that continues. We've just haven't given it new parameters. And for every society that is evolving, you keep improving on parameters that you set for, you know, maybe at the, you know, back in the time when we lived in a socialist type of environment, within communities, there was a way of taking care of everyone, you know, and there was, I'll give you an example. If I'm getting married, my uncle gives me a cow, right? And I take that cow home. In 2-3 years, I'm expected to take him back a calf, you know, a calf. It is expected that in 2-3 years, his herd will have gone down because of sickness, age, and that kind of stuff, you know? And each of my nephews will be getting married. I'm expected to give them a cow, you know? So this is a system of taking care of each other that has reciprocity, you know? We've just not gotten the time to sit down and affirm that, build new parameters, updated, you know? And I guess it feels so painful that we have to send money home by M-Pesa every so often that we just have to call it tax because this is the only language we understand about how money is taken away from our paycheck. Yeah.
But you see, I also saw a post on social media and it was a lady who was saying, I've blocked my dad because he's just bugging me, asking me for money.
Yeah.
What do you think about parents who just, I don't want to use the word drain, who parents, they expect you to, what's the word I'm looking for? Because I don't want it to come out the wrong way. Like they want to live this life, whatever life they have in their head, off you.
Yes.
Yet you're young, you just got your new job, you're
Yeah.
starting your family, you're trying to set yourself up.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
What is the intention of parents having children? Because it starts from there. You know, like what is their intention of having children and how many children they have? You see, that is never communicated clearly on a dinner table or on a social space. It's never, you know. But parents have subconscious desires for why they have children and why they sort of bring them to this world in the number that they do and how they, you know. And so I think this is just basically a question of an communicated or agreed upon expectation, you know. So one has, you know, the parent has this type of, they expected that they will educate the children will get working, and they'll be sending them home 10K. And if they have 4 children, they have 40K. And so they will live like a lord in the village, you know. And
But
that's why they invested in
that's not
education.
fair.
Well, it's not necessarily fair, but you see, it's so subconscious. You know, it's also subconscious, and we've grown through different generations. You know, like right now, I don't think this is what you think about your
Yeah, I
own
don't think.
children.
Yeah.
And Gen Z, this is also not what they were conditioned to. They've grown to parents that had some type of retirement benefit plan, kind of, and they don't expect that. But my millennial generation, we grew up partly analog and partly digital, and
Yeah.
we are expected to sort of service that. You know, service that expectation, you know, but we don't have the courage to sit with our parents and tell them, hello, unajua ni aje, daddy, or mother, whatever. We
Yeah.
call them mother, and at that time, I'm only capable of getting this, and this is, and then this is the frequency at which you can expect it, and then just do you. You know, do you with whatever you have, or help them, like really actually have economic activities that can support them, as opposed to
Yeah, you set them up already. That way they don't have to depend on you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think also giving becomes easier also if people are not asking. You know,
Yes,
unajua,
exactly.
just you have like 10K, you send 2K, 5K.
Yeah.
But see, at now every end month, your father is calling, your mother is calling, wewe, nataka kupeleka, you know, understand? Because life in the village is quite affordable, you know?
Not anymore. It's
Really?
gone really high. It's gone really high.
Okay.
Especially now that we don't produce food as such, you know. And even if we produce food, we don't produce food for that. I mean, I'll give you the example. Mchele is now, as the people age, this is what they eat, you know. And then mchele is not as affordable as would be other foodstuffs. So, I mean, I used to see some of the budgets in Ushago, and I'm like, wow, you know. Again, remember, it's more people than a household in Nairobi. Like in the village, you really have so many people that come to that household. So it might look like the things are cheap, but when you look at the quantities, I remember
These are the visitors or not just the family unit?
the extended family unit, because it's always there, and then the visitors as well. You'll find yourself bando ya unga, gunia ya mahindi na maharagwe, na unaambiwa 1 month down the line imeisha.
Yeah. But what about the what do you call it? I'm forgetting the name, but this is it's an economy where, for example, if you want to buy mafuta ya kupika, you can buy as little.
Kadogo. The Kadogo
The
economy.
Kadogo economy, yeah. What about that? Which works in the slum areas as well.
Yeah.
I think that makes life affordable, though.
It makes life accessible, not necessarily affordable, because if you look at it cumulatively, Kadogo will be much more expensive than buying in bulk. Kidogo.
Okay.
So it just makes it like accessible. So ukitaka kupata kamkate blue band unazaendea ya 5 bob, unapaka. But if you look,
but now you keep on. But then again, it helps a lot of people, probably even more so in the slums. Access, probably you're right.
Yeah.
Now, Greg, I don't want to ask you who you are. What are you?
What am I?
What
That's
are
a
you?
very good question. What am I? You know? And thanks for asking it in that version, because most people you meet will always ask you, who are you? Which means that you go to the titles that you have acquired, you know, across your work life, largely. And I feel that there is need for us to define ourselves beyond those labels that we acquire across our life.
Absolutely.
And so what am I? Yes, I am a young man from a place called Mboni in Makueni, that is in southeastern. I'm a father, I'm a husband. I am a father to 2 children.
How old are they?
One is turning 5 and another will be turning 4 this year. So 5 and 4, I would say.
Hands full.
Hands full. The last 5 years have been, since COVID entered.
Yeah.
That's where that's where my hands have been full at. And besides that, I've trained as a teacher and a communicator, and I work in the space of arts, culture, and communication for development for the last 20 years. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, you said you're a teacher.
Yes.
And even first of all, I think teachers need to be appreciated
Yeah.
so much because we wouldn't be here without them.
Exactly.
And I was reading something where the article was saying the teachers, the social workers are more fulfilled in their work
Yeah.
than, the surgeons and the pilots. Of course, they're getting more money,
Yeah.
but you find more meaning in, being a teacher and doing
Yeah.
all this community stuff. Is that true?
Absolutely. I do remember you shared that, and I either commented or something, and I was like, yes, this is indeed truth. Because you asked a part of the question, like, are some of these gifts handed down or how do they come? My father is a teacher. And, 3 of my sisters are also teachers. So I come from like a family of teachers,
yeah.
It's, but what I have seen or what I've also experienced myself in the whole sort of teaching space is the fulfillment that you get from seeing somebody grow from knowledge, skills, or attitude that you've helped shape, which means or which leaves you with this feeling like you're of service to the universe, you're of service to the world. It's not just extraction, because in a lot of the spaces that you might find people, like, let's just say in mining, it's about like how much you extract from earth, and this is why it just continues. You want to extract more, or you're just building houses and you just want to build more houses to extract more money. At what point do you ever sit down to nurture the simple things of life, like just satisfaction, fulfillment? Today I did a good thing. And when you look at the conversations that we've been having around wellness over the last years has been, being in a constant state of gratitude is good for your health, for example, and finding that which makes you feel fulfilled will give you better sleep, So compare somebody who goes to sleep feeling fulfilled that they helped a child learn how to say b, ka, whatever it is, and somebody who's scheming about how much more to extract from earth or people, the following day. You will, it doesn't balance,
Yeah.
And personally, what I've always experienced is being I'm more in the non-formal learning space, so not like in your typical classroom, but when I feel people finding their aha moment. I didn't know that. Oh, I didn't see this. Oh, I didn't see it this way, And that always, like, my most recent occasion was like working with tutors who were working with electronic music, teachers of music production, DJing, and that kind of stuff. And I was creating a pre-induction curriculum for them before they go to class. And I was like, you need to be able to bring as much knowledge that is in the room alive before you can start to share what you already know, because what that does is that it creates such a lively environment for learning. And so for me, the fulfillment is when the class is noisy, the people are exchanging ideas, the people are learning from each other, because it liberates knowledge. And then when you meet people later, and then they're like, you know what, that thing that you did on that day, it's really helped me. And I meet like hundreds of people like, hey, Mwalimu, this has helped me. And I'm like, oh, that's nice. I did something good to the world. And so I can keep moving.
So you teach, is it primary or high school?
I was meant to teach high school, but now I teach anyone who's willing to be taught.
Okay.
I teach children. I teach my own children in my house. I write books for them. I'm writing books in Kikamba for them.
Oh, really?
I teach adults. I teach college leavers or college goers. Like my favorite age is 18 to 28, because you can really mold a lot of minds, perspectives, especially. Around that age, but also like adult learning. So show me anybody who wants to learn something and I'll be able to come through for them.
Like what?
Communication is one subject. The art of instruction, like how you can engage a class. So that's what I do for trainers of trainers. If we go down deep into what I've been doing, I mean, there's just quite a lot. Strategy, I can teach on strategy. I can teach on monitoring, evaluation, resource mobilization, advocacy, especially, how to get your messaging out there. There's a wide array of topics that I can teach about. I mean, even African spirituality, I can create something about
It's in there.
Yeah, it's in there.
What do you think about our education system in Kenya specifically?
Today or when?
Saa hizi tunaongea,
Saizi.
yeah.
Hey man, we
Today, how
tuko.
is it? Yeah.
Yeah. We are not in a good place at all. We've lost meaning for what education was for in the first place, and we have majored on previously even the idea of performance and grades. I'm sure like many millennials, somebody came home and asked you, ulikuwa namba ngapi? You know, like in the last,
Yeah.
So that aggressive spirit of competition is what we're witnessing today, where people find it even hard to form genuine relationships because we were all grounded in this idea of competition. Uko namba ngapi, umefika wapi, umemaliza masters, uko na, even if you're going to just take it home and put it under the bed or whatever, like
Yeah.
kusoma ufike,
Yeah.
And then now we've introduced this competency, whatever, curriculum, and how it's also being presented, it's like people feel punished by it.
The parents or the kids?
Everybody, just because of how it's been introduced. The parents feel like this is too much, the teachers feel this is too much, so we've lost the essence of what education is about, or basically also what learning is about, like why do we want people to learn, and we are just pumping knowledge. We call it's a banking model. One of my theorists or mentors in this space is a guy called Paulo Freire. He wrote a book about the pedagogy of the oppressed, and he calls this model the banking model of education, where the teacher deposits coins every day in the mind of the student and then comes to collect them at the end of the semester or at the end of 8 years, and then he's satisfied by how much he draws back, not how much this person is doing with their own money. It's like, that recall, that type of recall. And our education today still remains so. So us changing into this type of education where people can exploit their competencies and build on them is problematic. Education has also been politicized, like everybody from the MCA to the MP is involved in education, and some things don't mix. You don't mix education with politics. You politicize education, you sort of spoil it. And the struggle has always been that we're producing people for work, not to live a well-balanced life, So there is a very big gap between what the intentions for education were for. We should be learning to live, not learning to work. And today it's about market skills, it's about the jobs, it's about, so we just make human beings go to school to become machines and not to have a deeper sense of intuition about humanity. And that's why, the results that we produce are people that have no empathy for humanity, but have all manner of, education. Look at some of our politicians, they're professors, but what do they sound like today? You'd be surprised.
Yeah. If you were given, a blank slate and told curate the education system, how would it look like?
My education system would be village-based. It would serve the needs of a village. We would look at every village and understand what are the needs of this village. And then we would teach or we would take children to learn how to come and solve those needs of that village. The curriculum would be based on that village, their needs and whatever, up to whatever level. Then after that, they can be exposed to other things. Because once they've learned the art of problem solving at a local perspective, then you can scale that or you can transfer that.
Yeah.
But at least like the primary education would be village-based. There will be no boarding schools. No boarding schools at all. Children and their parents have to live together for 18 years, if that's possible. A child should leave their family when they're like about 18. So then they can also engage in the process of culturalization, strengthening their norms, their values, their living together. And the mode of instruction or what would be completely different. It would be practical based, people learning in forests, learning in the gardens, learning in not like classroom for 8 hours of a day. No. It would be outside, and it would be basically guided by what are the needs of the day, But also beyond that, and I've mentioned this, is like the process of, I would integrate a lot of cultural work in there, because we're living in a world where machines will do quite a number of the tasks that are assigned to humans. So what will remain for humans? It will be the soft things, the arts,
Yeah,
the
but
culture.
that can be replaced. Yeah.
That cannot be replaced. Emotional intelligence, empathy, storytelling, being there for each other, being capable of entertaining one another in the absence of a radio or a TV, that you can tell a story. They can tell us, everybody can tell a story, and we can go, back to sleep. Passing on values, especially, that has been so broken because, like, people are listening from different sources about where to get values, or and then at the end of the day you get into a crisis of values when you start working. Do you take a bribe or not? Do you give one or not?
Yeah.
And then you just go with the wind of the day. Whereas if that was entrenched from your childhood, you could stand up and be like, no.
You already have clarity about it. Now, just with STEM education, your views about our TVETs in Kenya. I feel they're not aligned to the future, because there was a competition that was there, I think, last year. And the guys who went, they were presenting about how to set a table.
Yeah.
They were showcasing how to, building blocks? What do you call it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then now they were flabbergasted when they go to the global stage, because the people are doing AI, robotics, and all this.
Yeah.
So I always ask myself, I think probably I posted this on my Twitter the other day. I usually ask myself, did they come back and have like a debrief and check, tuko nyuma, do we need to catch up? Or probably this is just fine. Because when the event was happening now, after the whole event was over, people were saying, why do we need to learn AI? Why do we need to learn robotics? Hii mambo ya kupanga meza, the stone, this is what we need in Africa. So why are we stressing about all these things that are out there?
Yes.
What do you think about the whole thing? Yeah.
I do think that the partly the solution for the questions that we have lies in TVET. It misses one thing: imaginative thinking and innovation. I've dreamt of a day, maybe, and that day will come sooner, I could work with TVET to innovate on the products that they get out of that space, to rethink them, to redesign them, and to, again, remember it started with a conversation around black tax. Polytechnic was demonized from earlier on.
Kabisa, which is terrible. Yeah.
Which is terrible,
Yeah.
So the meaning that we've attached to Polytechnic was it's for failures, And so these people enter there knowing that the bright ones have gone elsewhere. We are left here to do the mundane stuff. And my vision has always been like, just go back and inspire that these artisanry, because I tell you, all of us are not going to work behind the computer punching numbers and just seeing who's brighter and smarter than the other. Working with the hands is a gift. The sensory experience of craftsmanship, is what other places in the world they're charging premium for, because you can buy a table from IKEA or any of those design shops, but go to a place in outside of Kenya, for example, maybe in Europe or in America, and you find like this is handcrafted. It will be twice or thrice the price, including dresses or includes clothes, that kind of it's like organic foods. They will always fetch premium. But we've not created that culture of innovation and pride and celebration over that skill of the table making, to advance it to, like change the joints, create new type of joints, create new designs, do a little bit of, see how we finish stuff, including houses. It's poor most of the time. We don't give that attention,
Yeah.
So if you give just a little bit of finish, a little bit of fine touch, you can even double the price, out of that. So there's room. There's room for us to integrate all this, but we already have enough. I go to a lot of artisan markets and I see handmade products and how much they are sort of selling for. And I'm like, it takes just that extra step of innovation, branding, polishing, presentation also. Like it's at the end of the day, it's also how you sell your idea. How you, and you asked me part of the classes that I do, pitching is one of them.
Okay. I think that's always
for
tough for startups.
yes, for
I see people
startups.
hustling and,
Yes, and how they pitch for money and all that kind of stuff, It's also how they present the idea,
Yeah.
because again, we are all tapping into resources that have a particular way or language of speak. So I think Tibet in this country is one of the most untapped. And then struggles will always be engaging with the people that run Tibet, write the curriculum, do the examination, whatever is another whole struggle over there before you can get to inspiring the students to be more creative. But I hope one day I'll be able to work with Tibet and create some products.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
May your dream come true.
Thank you so much.
You mentioned it's something I struggle with as well. Like going that extra step to just polish, make it better.
Yeah.
How come we don't have that in Africa overall? The president launched the affordable housing last week, and I saw a video, and I'm like, you guys should be embarrassed. What is this that you're putting out as your best product?
Yeah.
It was horrid.
Yeah.
The tiling, it was so bad. So is it that we don't care, or probably we just don't have that eye?
Oh, wow, that's a deep question. And for me, I think I'll look at it we are in shortcut. We have a culture of a shortcut towards earning quickly while doing very little.
But you can do the little and earn quickly and do it well.
No, it works the other way around.
It can't work. They can't go together.
No, I need to finish this, designing this very quickly. You pay me, I go to the other person, because work is calling, like you need to make much more money, So this work ethic of, doing little, earning more, does not give room for master craftsmanship, which requires you to sit down with this cup for 5 days to ensure that it's like really, really well polished. And we don't have that industrial technology that can polish stuff, en masse, So like you can't polish many wood at the same time. We will still have small ladders. We call it a ladder, what, we don't have the industrial capacity that can smoothen stuff, for example, or work on that. We still depend on the human being to do that, and the human being is in a hurry to get that work done. I tend to think much more it's about people wanting to make more real quickly than and then it becoming a culture that never gives us the opportunity to want for the finer, to look for the finer details, I mean, I give somebody a house to construct, and what you will find is
it's horrendous.
Utasumbuka sana by the time. I mean, paint all over and that kind of stuff, and you're like, you didn't see this. Oh, sorry, you didn't see this. Also, culture. Like we are as good as what we see around ourselves. So when half-finished stuff is what you see mostly, then you'll never be able to do much more than that. And what I have done with...
So is that lack of exposure?
That lack of exposure as well, So sometimes what I do is I go bring something that is already finished and well done, and I'm like, work as hard as you can to get it this way. And then by doing that, somebody learns that, oh, so actually a good finishing is necessary,
Interesting. There's this organization called Build Her.
Build Her.
Do you know it?
I've heard of Build.
It gets women from the informal sectors, and then they train them how to do woodwork, tiling, and painting. And their work is really good. It's really, really good. I've bought products from them, and you see the finishing is nice. It's a really, really good product. And I'm also doing woodwork just for fun.
Just for fun. Beautiful.
So weekends I go and I learn how to do... I have a table in the house that I've made. And I feel so proud of myself. And it's well done. It's a functional table.
Yes.
So the one thing I want to teach my son He's 3 now. As he grows older, his skills,
Yes.
plumbing,
Yes.
tiling,
Yes.
painting, all these things, lazima ajue.
Timber
Even if you feel
work.
like, oh, mommy, I don't want, he has to learn.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you want to just probably like put a shelf in your house.
Yeah.
Then you have to call a fundi. But now that I'm learning woodwork,
Yeah.
in another 1 year, I'll just do the shelf myself. I don't have to call a fundi. Maybe electrical is a bit too much because I don't want to be electrocuted. But the basics, you can just fix a table, fix things that are broken in your house. You don't have to always call somebody to come and do that for you.
And there's also so much joy that comes out
A
of
lot. Why I see that table? I use it every day. I'm like,
Yes.
oh, I made this with my own 2 hands.
Yeah, and
It
everybody
feels
who
really
comes,
good.
you'll remind them,
Yes,
the table you're seated on, it's made with these
I
hands.
did this. Yeah, it's very interesting. But what's the future? What's the future of education when you're going back, just direction in overall?
Wow. We had crossroads.
Sorry, because for now,
Yeah.
we are in the wrong direction.
Yes.
But what's the future? And are we able going? Will we be able? Because now we are so behind and so deep in this wrong system.
Yeah.
Are we ever going to catch up?
It will take some time. It will take some time. And this is what I see. If you ask me the future of education, I'd look at what type of human being will be needed in the future. It will be a human being that feels more, that is more empathetic, that is creative, that has integrity, that is, So somehow we have to find a way of creating that space for building values to complement the formal curriculum. So spaces where people can practice integrity, empathy, compassion, genuinely. Not. And I'm not talking about social media messages. Where people can, meet together, grieve together, build together, cooperate together. That kind of build that together. So there's a space for how we develop values. I think I was part of conversations that sort of hinted at the fact that part of why the Kenyan education system is always struggling is because it's not value based. There's no deep values that are entrenched to it in and throughout the curriculum, and then there's also the part of culture. There's what we've lost out of colonization, Christianization, and the whole capitalist business, and people will always be seeking seeking to connect to their roots. People will always be looking at how can we connect with our roots? How can I? And so there is the second part around how do we create systems that people can interact with their culture outside of the formal education. So if you'd ask me, I see the non-formal learning, the space that I'm always involved in, continuing to grow in order to anchor what is in curriculum. Because in school, teachers are running after the syllabus to finish, to examine, and to get grades, and to at least contain the children within that space for that period of time. Then outside of that, you still have to reinforce with all these other types of things. I see technology playing a very critical role in either advancing our intelligence, or washing it away. And what I mean by washing it away is with AI, a student can have a lot of their work done, which already we've been struggling with cheating. So we could get on cheating with steroids. And so therefore, eventually when you bring somebody to do a task, which I've encountered several times, they cannot get the task done.
Yeah.
But they speak well. They send a CV that says I have done this, I have done that. But when you finally, so we will encounter a lot of conflicts that come out of people, just cheating their way out. I do think hope lies in parents taking responsibility for their children's learning, whether you want to call it education or learning, but just taking responsibility at the core, at the household. So then you can understand what does a 5-year-old need to learn? What does a 6-year-old need to learn? What does a 12-year-old need to learn? What does an 18-year-old need to learn? And unless that ownership comes, tuta struggle kiasi.
Parents are busy working. They don't have time for
Yeah.
that. They're busy, looking for school fees.
They're busy looking for school fees, but then they pay that school fees for the rest of their life. Case in point, children take longer to leave homes today. Me, I left when I was, 20? They never came back. How many people can leave their home when they are 20 today, for example, And it's also because, like, I grew up, Ushago, I grew up in the countryside. I knew how to cook. I knew how to take care of cows and chicken. I knew how to plan my time. I knew, how to run around and borrow things so when I came to Nairobi, it's the same skills that I applied and, rolled into independence a little bit faster. Most children have spent 18 years of their life in school. 18. And when they go home, they're just fed, kababa, kamama, kam, umechoka, watch TV, chill. It takes longer for that child to get out of their home because the basic of skills like life skills that they don't have, So I see the counterproductivity, and you can send your children to the best of schools. It still keeps them on the same line of good grades, but they're missing on other bigger components of their life, which means how do they make friends? How do they survive heartbreaks when the heartbreaks happen? How do they increase and enhance their sense of intuition to be able to tell this is right and this is wrong, or this is not good for me? And even when everybody else is doing it, how do they enhance that? How do they develop relationships about hata kukopana, like borrow me this, I will bring it to you tomorrow. And it's not about money. It's like we used to borrow wheelbarrows. Your wheelbarrow is broken, your parent has gone away, and you need to get water done. So what do? You go to the neighbor and you're like, give me, I bring these 2 jerry cans and then I'll bring it back. Those soft skills that create, healthy codependence are still lacking. And that's why the school fees, you will pay it for many, many, many more years because that kid will still be in your house until they are 30. And I remember during Mother's Day, there was a video running around in WhatsApp. And then a guy came and asked you, Mother, what should I buy you? What should I buy you? Tell me, what do you want me for this Mother's Day? And then the mother turned and was like, Mimi, nataka uhame.
How old was the guy?
He was full of beards.
Oh, yeah?
he was in his 40s or something.
Oh, my God.
And then the guy looked like, oh, my God. Yeah. Mama didn't want to be bribed.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, we are looking for the school fees at the expense of many, many other things.
Yeah. True. Your views about homeschooling. No, my baby is 3. He's going to go to school next year. No rush. And I'm just fighting in my head. Do I homeschool him? Not me, because I don't have the patience of teaching.
Yeah.
Like have him probably enroll in an online school. But I don't want to subject him to, kuamka asubuhi, the hassle.
Yeah.
I don't want him to go through that.
Yeah.
So I'll get clarity later.
Yeah.
But I think I have a bit of clarity already. Like I don't want him to go through that.
Yeah.
So what are your views about homeschooling and probably online learning, which is now probably becoming more common in Kenya specifically?
I think the future is homeschooling, and I don't say that that's for everyone. I think the person who will need different outcomes for their children would potentially try homeschooling. I'm personally considering it with my wife and a few other friends. We are thinking around community schools, a type of community schools as I had mentioned, but that involves homeschooling. And this is exactly why this thought is gaining traction. One is you are able to see how the learning process is unfolding for your child. Our children are already learning language at home. And let me actually just take a little step back. How I started entertaining this thought was, one, teaching my children Kamba language. I realized I don't have books. The first book that they get that is in Kamba is until they're age 7, when they're in grade 1 or something like that. And I realized there's no material. And I realized that there is no recorded content that I can access anywhere. There's no toys that are in Kamba language or anything. So they will most likely be exposed to Tom and Jerry and other. Tom and Jerry is so 19. I don't know what
it is.
Yeah, but there's all these other, other cartoons. So they'll be exposed to that first. So I realized that there is no material to teach my children, and I had to create that material. So I said, using the pedagogical skills that we use for teaching English language, why don't I create a book? So I created a book called Tusomeitane. And then every morning before kids go to school,
What's the name?
Tusomeitene. It means let's
Let's
read early.
Ali. I know some bit of Kamba.
Okay, good. Yes. So
Yeah.
let's read early. And so the idea is that in the morning before the kids go for breakfast, or we create an activity together where we can memorize some of the nouns, memorize some of the, just do whatever type of play, even before they can have breakfast and start going to school. So they end up going to school at 9. They're always late, but we've already had our first lesson at home.
Yeah.
For example. And then I started to see that then there's a French teacher who comes, and he comes 3 times in a week. And I started to see how this teacher engages with the child. And the first thing was like, whatever they find the child doing, they don't change it. They don't move them from there. So if the child was playing with a pink toy or a red toy or a whatever type of toy, whatever they were, they enter into that space. And then through whatever they were doing, they start to learn new concepts using that same thing that they were already working on.
That's nice.
Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
And so you should find the 4-year-old and the 5-year-old like just so engaged in building this, and they're speaking, French at the same time, And I was like, but this enhances much more curiosity for this child and stops to separate learning from everyday activity, So then next time when they're tying a knot on a tree, they will consider that learning, as opposed to it has to be separated into a cold room where you have to sit and be, and be told that this is the blackboard, this is the teacher, and that kind of stuff. I was like, this is much more enjoyable. So you can actually look at life as a lifelong learning experience.
Continuity
As well.
Yeah.
And then the parent must be engaged, generally. This struggle that we're having around parental engagement is guaranteed when you're homeschooling. It does bring an extra level of responsibility on yourself, but at least you're particularly engaged.
Yeah.
And I'm also considering it because there's a lot of pressure that is coming out of the mainstream type of education. Sijui tumeambiwa tulipiwe trip ya kwenda wapi, sijui hii uniform, sijui hizi textbooks hazifai, these textbooks are out of, like it's an industrial thing, it's minting money out of the parent. And that's why the parent is always unhappy and struggling, because every other time with homeschooling, you don't need all that. You don't need all that. You plan your trips for your children the way you want them.
True.
They're not in the peer pressure of whatever. They wear whatever they want. There's no idea of, you must replace the uniform because we changed the logo or that kind of stuff. I did the math. It's actually cost saving.
It is, absolutely.
It is actually cost saving.
Yeah.
And then also, again, human beings were supposed to be with their children. I think one of a therapist I was speaking to told me that human beings are the most attached animals. They take so long to grow. If a goat gives birth to a kid, as they would call it, in one day that kid is standing, and in 5 weeks that kid is feeding by themselves. Human beings don't work that way.
Yeah.
They stay attached for the longest, And so for you to actually catalyze their process of transition, you have to enhance that level of attachment. What you're doing with your boy is amazing.
We are attached to the hip.
Exactly.
He's attached to me. We go everywhere together.
Yes, and that's what is necessary, And so in their early years of growing up, until 8, until 8, that attachment should be felt. That presence for the parents should be so much felt, because this is how they develop their future perception of fear, or of disappointment, or how to handle with all that. And when they get that nurturing and that safety close with their parent, including their parent being involved in their learning environment, then there's we can't say that there won't be difficulties, but you will be able to manage them, because already that sense of attachment and self-regulation. Self-regulation is another area which we struggle with, because mtoto akiliona namwambia we nyamaza, you don't teach them to, like, okay, it's okay to cry. What do you need to grieve and recover from this process? If you're more present, so homeschooling allows you to be also that present with your child, to the extent that you can help them regulate their emotions better than always being sent to the timeout room or being just always beaten at school when you don't really know what's happening. So that deep nurturing presence might yield us different outcomes for the children when they become independent.
True. I think the downside, if I can call it that, what people assume as to be a downside is that you don't get to socialize as much when you're homeschooling, because you know in this normal system, on a break time, lunchtime, you have all these activities. So I think there's the element of, if I homeschool, how do I get my child will be awkward, socially awkward, because they're not interacting with other kids their age.
Even with homeschooling, you have to create social activities that have the children interact with others their age. That's why the idea for me of community school is like, it opens for play. It opens for music. It opens for art. It opens for games. It opens. This is not where we do the curriculum. This is where we do the extra curriculum type of work, the socialization, play type of things that we have to do together as each other, But the ideal learning should happen at home with their teachers and their parents, sort of presence. Yes, it's possible that the kid could be awkward if they don't socialize with others. And so the danger of homeschooling is that if you over-isolate them, they'll not be able to function easily with others. So you have to definitely create room for them to socialize and participate in social activities with others. So then they can also kids learn through observation, through mirroring what they see. And so the behaviors, I know last weekend we had a party at home, and already my son this week is behaving like some boys he met there. So we have to create a way of adjusting.
Come back to center, boy.
Come back to center. You're like, and I can understand where this comes from. But you know what? Here we sort of do things differently.
Interesting. As a teacher, writing, and I know you write. I'm always struggle with people who don't write well. As somebody in my life, one of my daybugs, she writes me very bad text.
Yeah.
So you tell her, of course I can understand what she's saying, but I tell her, I don't understand your message.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
And then she writes back a very nice message.
Yeah.
Well written.
Yes.
So even when you go on social media, people write and you're like, what is going through your mind?
Yeah.
Like, as you type, what are you writing? Of course, we grow as we get better at writing as we grow, because even as we used to write CG ads when we were younger, but I think now it's gotten worse and worse.
Yeah.
People just write. It's just madness, if I can call it that.
Yeah.
So as a teacher, what's happening at school? Because I saw this young man. How old are you? Maybe he was younger, in his 20s. Alikuwa interview, and this boy could not construct a sentence in English.
Yeah.
Si atuongea kizungu kubwa, all that. Explain yourself in English. He couldn't.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, shule ni free in Kenya since Kibaki's time. Schools, we are taught in English. When it is Kiswahili, it's English. I mean, So how come? And if you don't go to school, it's criminal. You know how that goes. So how come? What happened for you, young man, that you can't express yourself in English? He couldn't. Akaambiwa na the moderator just speaks Swahili.
Yeah.
And this guy was looking to go out of the country for work.
Yeah.
Like, how do you survive?
How do you survive?
So as a teacher, probably you'd have an answer for me.
Yes. We tend to imagine that people will connect the dots, and we're not all capable of connecting the dots. So we teach English as a subject. We teach Swahili as a subject. We don't teach communication. And communication is it's the use of language is just one aspect of communication. There's a whole layer of communication, but we don't emphasize on communication, presentation. How do you order your thoughts? How do you present your thoughts in a way that you're understood? How do you communicate to different levels of people? Show me. I don't know what the curriculum looks like today, but like these are and their own teachers may not necessarily model that behavior, effectively, because what they do when they come to classes, they teach the subject, but do they ask for how how are you able to communicate what you've understood today? You know, how can you communicate what you've understood sort of today? And remember, again, our DNA is very oral. Our DNA is very oral. All these people that you speak, you're talking about, if you sit down with them, watakupea story ushangai. They might be able to express themselves in a particular language or in a particular fashion. It could be even Sheng. It could be, there's that which they've developed oral competence, you know, about. Now, struggle comes to when they have to translate that into written text, or they have to speak in a language that is foreign from their usual environment, whether it's
Yeah.
not Sheng or not Swahili, or whether they have to now speak in pure English, they will find it very hard to express themselves. So I think it's just a question of emphasizing on communication skills and the diverse context that they might be able to apply these skills.
Yeah, going back to the education system, because if you're not able to write properly, how are you doing your exams? How is a teacher able to understand what you've written? And as a teacher, I'd be very concerned, like, what is this you've written? They'd even cancel class. Kujeni patufanye communications 101.
Yes.
So what does that say about the teachers then?
It's a thing that I wonder, you know, it's a thing that I
Yeah.
wonder as well. Like, how do you get to sit your national exams when
Yeah.
you're, you know, this is not so developed? I don't really understand how they sort of get through it. I need to go also and ask, like,
Yeah,
hapa
it's-
mlisoma aje? Like, how did you even sit your national paper?
Yeah.
When or is it again going back to that shortcut kind of life where you're like, huyu ni taongea tu na yeye, so I will, instead of writing lakini, I'll write LKN, VP, I'll just write VP. So then I make the message short and it goes without having to put effort, because is effort rewarded?
Interesting. There's a book I read, or probably I saw somewhere. Steve Pinker was talking about how people try to reorganize language, and it just didn't work. I'll probably get you the book.
Yeah.
It just couldn't work.
Yeah.
You know, because you can't say something like I know. You can't say I then KW.
Yeah.
It comes out as I know, but in writing, it
Yes,
doesn't make
it doesn't
sense,
make
you know?
sense at all.
So I think probably you and I tuko hapo kwa kushanga.
But also, you know, we've been taught in a different generation, I think. Yeah, I think
But I
we've
think
also
our
been taught in
time, as millennials, we write well. We write well. I mean, we try.
Yeah.
Even somebody, if you're chatting with somebody, they're able to write full words.
Yes.
Even if it's short, you understand. But these Gen Zs and lower, it's just madness.
But you know, we also wrote letters to impress our...
We did. So probably that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That really.
You needed to come out nice. So
Kabisa.
that missive letter
Yeah.
that we wrote
Yeah.
helped with, you need to appear polished, because you needed to impress this other person who was not
did.
your teacher or your academic, you know, supervisor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved writing letters.
Tuliandika, we would put marashi.
Nimeshirab. Usitoe hiyo. I loved writing letters. The Kikuyu is coming out.
Yeah, watch I pop.
Yeah. Now, you said when I asked you what you are, you told me so many things you are. I think probably we've talking about teaching someone because I'm so passionate about that. But you told me you're in arts, you're in communications and all that.
Yeah.
But how has work evolved over time?
Wow, how has work evolved? How has work evolved over time? And let me take you a little bit of a step back. When you invited me for this conversation, I had to figure out, like, where do I anchor this conversation around work? Where do I anchor around it? And over the last 3 years, I have been really deep in there, wanting to understand what indigenous wisdom has been there. And in one of those conversations, I went home and I was speaking with my dad. He's turning 77 this year. And I've been meaning to spend quality time with him, you know, because it's also the age when my children are now growing, so they can get to connect before he gets too old, and not just him, my mother as well. But seated with my father, I asked him, like, how did society evolve during your time? And one of the things he told me is that when colonialism, you know, appeared and, children now had to go to school, the people that were left home had to go to work in order to earn silver which is now the money, the coin, to pay hat tax. So he went to school so that he doesn't stay home and have to work to pay hat tax, you know?
Yeah.
And this is where the concept of work for pay was introduced. Because before then, we were working we were serving roles, you know, like I did a research in my Kamba language. There was only roles that were mentioned in terms of how people took care of stuff. Moethi was the one who takes care of the cows, you know? Moemi is the person who takes care of the shambas or that kind of stuff, you know? And then if we were describing work at the time, it was Nima, which was like, oh, the act of taking care of the shambas, you know? Ndevya, the act of taking care of animals, you know? Moei, the act of nurturing, the person who is, you know? But there was no idea of work as was later introduced for the purposes of collecting tax to pay for hat tax. And that's where now you come to get the idea of where, because now where becomes work for pay. So that's an evolution, you know, that comes at that generation and then continues to grow and to grow and to grow, you know?
Yeah.
And because how we lived basically was like, you have a role, I have a role, everybody has a role to take care of. And nobody's expecting to be paid by the other. You know, nobody's expected to be paid. If we bring food home, it belongs to all of us. If we have cows, they belong to all, you know, they're going to be used in service of all of us, you know, within that environment. So for me, I found like one of the things was like work became a necessity for the collection of tax and to control people, especially at that time.
Still is.
Still is.
Yeah.
Up to date, you know, so that has basically continued. And then beyond that now, when my parents, you know, went to school, what then were they being promised? Is that so many vijana, muongeze bidii, mwisho wa kusoma, mtapata kazi nzuri sana. So the reward becomes work. At the end of education, the reward now becomes work. And then work for who? Work for the government, you know, the new colonial master. Work for who? Work for the missionaries, you know, as colonial enablers, you know, at the time. Work for who? Work for the private sector, private-owned capital, you know, not work for yourself. You know, there's no idea about working. Even when you hear people taking like, I work for myself. No. How do you work for yourself?
Yeah.
You know, where's the pay? Are you paying yourself for that? Or are you serving yourself, you know? And then the introduction of all the terminology that comes with that, including leave. You know, we never went on leave. You know, every day was just any other day. We had an eternal view of time. You know, time was, that's why the whole idea of African timing, again, has been demonized, but it was our understanding of time. Time was eternal. It was either morning or the evening and everything else in between, you know, like, and now time has to be quantified into 40 hours a week, 32 hours a week, or 50 whatever hours a week, and then 7 days of leave, or, you know, this is an evolution. I mean, why am I going to this? This is an evolution of the post-colonial project, you know, that continues, and everybody now has to go to school. Again, we've been discussing school. School is connected with work, you know, it's directly connected with work. The outcome of school is work, jobs, as now they call them. And then we are tied into that cycle. You know, now we get tied into that cycle. We get tied into the idea of retirement. Growing up, you had the terms like retrenchment, redundancies, you know, sort of. And then people start to struggle to reintegrate after retirement to their former, they don't even know what was there before, you know? They don't know what, like, you know, you've been a pilot and now you have to go and start a farm. How does that work? You've been an officer in the police station and you've spent 30 years carrying a gun around and harassing people. Now, what do you go and do with yourself after that? After you've gone back home, or you've been, whatever thing has been. And so I come to find myself caught in that same, you know, in that same cycle until 2023 when, you know, place where I was working in, they did reorganization and were like, oh, now we're putting you on redundancy. That was like, what? I never imagined that for a day somebody will wake up and tell me, as intelligent as I am, as talented as I am, as productive as I am, that your services are no longer required because we've reconfigured the way we work. And so I left that place with a bit of deeper questions around what is work? What does really work mean?
Yeah.
Went sat home and analyzed, why did I need this job? First thing, oh, medical insurance. Yes, absolutely. You get a good medical insurance so you can take care of your family. But how else did we take care of these things is the question. So the idea that you have a job, you have medical insurance, oh yeah, and you could get tied to a job you don't like simply because it gives you a good medical cover, for example.
That happens a lot.
That happens a lot
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
and then I looked at it. Okay, yeah, income. Yeah, so income. Yes, income from one source. What if you had income from different sources that service different that service different needs? So you have that regular income. Okay, fine. Of course, then there's the status that it allows you. Every job comes with a level of status and access. If you walk in today and you drop a name, I work for this organization, of course, there's a door that will be opened for you. Or I am the director of XYZ, and that's very addictive. The fringe benefits, if you go into my newsletter, I have written about it, like the addictions, and especially for the USID workers, that had to be let go when I felt the need that I need to just write and make some of these things, like what was the process for myself. And part of it is the status. When the status is taken, the titles, who then do you become?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you settle into your new reality? And how do so for me, the evolution of work was to see it for what it is. To see the how it's been manufactured today through this colonial project. And I will still go back to that because we didn't have that structure before. That structure was introduced within the colonial framework, but also to serve a capitalist ecosystem that was also introduced to go hand in hand with colonialism, because capitalism is about capital and who has it and how can they continue to multiply that. And so for me, the evolution at that time was to ask myself, with my own parachute and landing from the skies, where do I end up? And several shifts had to happen. And for me, the evolution one was to first configure what are my priorities. And there was about eight areas where you can maintain life balance. Remember, not work-life balance.
Yeah, life balance.
Life balance. One was health. You can't give what you don't have. So if you don't have health, you cannot function. So health is your most important asset. And so I focused on that. I started jogging. I started going to walks at the Arboretum. I started really taking good care of my health. And again, taking good care of your health means that you don't go to hospital often.
True.
So then it reduces the need for the medical insurance, unless for major accidents that you might encounter. You're not going to be in the hospital for common colds or headaches or a tummy ache or a little diarrhea that came out of you eating sukuma wiki. You're going to clear all that, if you're healthy. Family is number 2 for that life balance. And why family? It's because when everything is gone, this is who you are with. And it's the family that you're building. Not everything else. It's like the family that you're building. These are the COVID taught us one thing. And my kids were born in COVID. It taught us one thing. The ones you're with there, right then, those are the people you need to take care of. Because when all this glamour, when we can't travel, these are the people you live with. So family became a very important priority. And then work came third. Before that, work came first. Before everything, work came first. I had a suitcase that was always halfway packed. If there was a next assignment, I was onto it. Travel, never, rest was just change of work. I remember there was a time I was working a full-time job and I was DJing at some clubs. So I mean, I was young and I was energetic, and so I could just afford to sleep for 3 hours and then get back on. It catches up on you, basically. So work came third. And there's a whole lot of other, elements like, your personal and professional development, your social life, your hobbies, your spirituality, your investments, all those come way down the ladder. But the top three for me became health,
And still are.
and still are
Very nice.
health,
Yeah.
family, and work. And I had to reconfigure what is my relationship with work and why, and why should we work? And that's how, before this, before all that, I had worked as a program officer for, some of the development agencies, that are around. And so it changes with every year. What is the issue? This time is freedom of expression. Next time you're working on AI governance. It keeps changing. So at the end of the, by the time you're done with this job, you change titles for like hundreds of times. And so I had to call myself to a meeting and be like, what is it that I can do with my hands easily?
Yeah.
I was like, it's teaching. I don't need a blackboard. This is what we're doing here is teaching.
True.
Basically, what we're doing here is teaching. I don't need a blackboard. And I settled to, this is who I am, and this is where I'm gonna go deeply into exploring. There's all these other things that I can do. I can do communications campaign. I can do, but at the core, teaching is the talent. Now, how can I get better at it? So I started learning storytelling as part of teaching. So going deep into the art of stories. How do stories move minds? How do stories move, convey information? How do you simplify? How do you use, if you go onto my LinkedIn, you'll find I bring weird teaching aids, to simplify complex subjects like feedback, to simplify, just to integrate the art of learning. So just going back to the core talent, and everybody that I meet today who is struggling in this context of what work do, I first ask them, what is it that you can do with your hands? You don't have to have gone to school for it. What is it that you can do with your hands? Last week I was with somebody who told me I can cook. I was like, and why don't you cook and sell food? It's like, because I don't have a certificate for it. I was like, people don't buy the certificate.
Yeah.
My brother, people buy the tasty food. So start cooking immediately. And so he found, a reason in that. So I have a completely different relationship with work today than I had if you would have met me 3-4 years ago. And that relationship for me has been work that brings me revenue, but also work that brings me satisfaction.
Very important.
Revenue might not be always constant. So I have to diversify, different things. And I'm running a whole myriad of different small village type of enterprises to take care of that. And I'm just in the city, just doing that which I can do in the village. And the idea is diversify your revenue sources. So you're not just depending on one thing, and that life is just fluid. If I get out of here, you find me in Machakos, you'll find a completely different person. If you find me in Boni, you'll find a completely different type of person.
I like that.
Yes, and this is just one
Yeah.
one human being. If you
I
find
like
me at the
that.
Arboretum,
Yeah.
I'll be a completely different person with the type of kids.
Yeah.
And why is, and this is a millennial dilemma, we have different identities. And we are so defined by the jobs and the people that we sort of hang out with. And coming to the core to find out who you really are and just stick with it is not one of the most favorite activities that we sort of have to engage in. But then once you find that, then you enter into a new realm of interacting with people based on, what you are. I'm farming chicken, for example. I have a guest house, that is somewhere. For example, I'm teaching, I'm teaching kids Kamba. I'm researching on a lot on nursery rhymes, in the village with drama teachers. I went back to meet my primary school drama teacher, and I was like, please remind me all the nursery rhymes that are there.
Yeah.
We've written them, folk songs, folk tales. You'll find me, learning how to drum the Kamba way, boom, just learning those rhythms, and why? It's because they bring joy. I wouldn't consider that work, or engaged in the neighborhood on campaigns like the one we have for the Arboretum, where the prices have hiked.
Yeah.
Is that work? I don't think it's work. It's service for the neighborhood, because this is something that we all need, and you can do something about it. So yes, that's the evolution of work that I've gone through. Yeah.
I think with your like detailed explanation about how work has evolved. I feel validated because I feel, and probably this has come out more since I became a mom, that work is quote quote overrated.
Yeah.
And this podcast is called the No Work.
Yeah.
But then again, we've spoken about work. But I feel we need to find ourselves
Yeah.
outside work.
Yes.
If tomorrow we woke up and there was no work,
Yeah.
what do you do with your life?
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
think I figured out how I would be,
Yeah.
and I'm living that, and I'm so
Yeah.
lucky that I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
But for many of us, we are Lillian, project manager.
Yes.
Greg, you understand?
Yeah. Program officer.
Program officer. But how do we not attach our identity to work? Probably more for us, millennials and people who are older than us. Gen Z, I think they have the
Fluidity, if we
yeah,
would
they
call
have that.
it.
And even I was saying
Creative,
how they just
generalist.
quit on their employees, like sijisiki kufanya kazi, like they're not too caught up with the work
Yeah.
like we are.
Yeah.
But for us now, how do we separate the two? And
They-
is it possible, or is it too late? Or
it's possible.
Okay.
It involves hard choices. It involves you changing your budget or lifestyle. For example, it involves some hard choices because basically you're in configuring how you think and how you approach. Like if you used to constantly have a salary that drips into your account at the end of the month, and it becomes an addiction. You are sure that the same way you go and drink a beer, you will get high when it comes, and then the effect will go down, 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 down. And then when it's really, really down, the month will be almost, kwa corner, and then boom, inaingia. So it becomes like an addiction, like
Yeah,
sort
true,
of,
true. Yeah.
And when there's money, you're happy. When there's no money, you're very sad, So, and doing that, first and doing that, that effect of the regular income is not an easy one. So it involves hard choices of how you reconfigure, how we reconfigure our lives, for us to actually live on less, because it's possible.
It is.
To live, it's possible to actually live on less.
I'm a minimalist, so
You're a minimalist,
yeah.
so then you understand
I
that
understand
you don't
completely.
need 52 pairs of shoes. The ones that you need, and
Yeah.
I think they call it living frugal, but I don't think that frugal is a positive term. But minimalist is because you just buy what you need, So that's what the hard choices are necessary. And two is this. I tend to think that the millennial is a generation of external validation. It was so validated externally in its young life, especially through grades and angalia mtoto wangu and all that kind of like that external validation became so much that they cannot today in adulthood survive without like getting that external validation at the same time. So turning back to self-validation, like how do you validate yourself? Like, this is good enough for me. It doesn't need to be good enough for you guys, but this is good enough for me. And I know it's quality. Rick Rubin is one of the guys that I follow, and this guy is paid a lot of money to just say that it's good to me. And when it's good to him, it's good for everybody else. And that's what he always says. If I make it good for myself, not for anybody else. And if it's good to me, everybody else will find it good. Believing in that, like the idea of self-validation is crucial. And then there's the third part, which is about like what then becomes your social network. Because your social network is also your social net worth in a way, but it's also your community that you sort of I'm sure you will leave a certain type of friends because of the changes that you're making, but you will gain a certain type of friends who are thinking and working towards the same ethos. In my scenario, there's people, we bring chicken and they give us honey.
Okay.
For example, the natural idea of barter trading,
barter trade,
exchange for, I have chicken, then you can give me honey, or I have this, then you can give this. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is figuring out how to survive with less, how to work with less, So your social network and net worth will change into a different type of community that has a particular type of ethos. And yet again, approach life not as a destination, but something that we keep living and learning and whatever. Nothing prohibits you from going back if this doesn't work. Nothing prohibits you.
Yeah. Fear.
Fear. Dropping the fear is going to be the
Yeah.
first part of
Yeah.
the whole,
Yeah.
I was talking to my friend the other day and I was telling him, like, at the core of us, human beings, if you ask any of these people that are trying to amass so much wealth, so much money, so much, if you strip them naked of hikitu, like, why do you do this? They will tell you, it is for my children.
That's always the answer.
That's always the answer.
Yeah.
It is for my children, who didn't even ask you to do it for the same way. But because they're chasing this idea of safety,
Yeah.
like after myself, my safety needs are catered for, then my children will also feel safe. Like, how do we then redefine the sense of safety? And this is where I'm bringing up the concept about Ubuntunomics. Like, how do we reintegrate again to where what you do, I trust it's in the best interest of me. And what I do is in the best interest of yourself. How do we rebuild that? Because once we've achieved that, then akuna karata, like we are, there's no there's no undercards. I know you are working in the best interest, and I know, so then the sense of safety definitely increases because we can have that level of trust. I remember telling you the story of the ng'ombe. When my uncle gives me the cow, he trusts that I will take good care of it, and he trusts that life will be good enough that I will give a calf back, and I could give a calf to even his son when he's sort of marrying. So there's that level of, that's what I'm calling Ubuntunomics, that there's that sense of trust that decreases the insecurity that we are experiencing. That we always say that I must have a job, I must have. Can you go back to the village and still feed? Can you still have a night with friends without you having to spend a cent? These are experiments I've been trying, and they've been working.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been working so well. You actually realize people have a lot more to share when you share, and you don't always have to share money.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think probably also the fear would come out of, how we were brought up in school, is just
Yes.
academics, uko namba gani, let me see your report card.
Yeah.
Probably we never got to find out what we are good at, what we
Yeah.
can do with our hands, our
Yes.
talents.
Yeah.
So if now I'm a HR manager and I'm in my 40s, I can't leave this job because I don't know my talents.
Yeah.
What would I do with my hands? So I think now I'll be stuck there forever and ever and ever. Now, what I'm trying to do in this podcast is to have people ask themselves, probably early enough,
Yeah.
maybe for the younger people, and even ask whoever they are able to, just life outside work.
Yeah.
Work is there, but it's not all that.
All that.
Yeah. And even when you watch interviews of people who've made it in life, and made it, I mean, they're the richest people in the world. When they're older, wakiulizwa, they never say, oh, I worked this long, they talk about their kids,
Yes.
about health. So we need to learn, not even learn, we just need to probably copy what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because there's so much proof that work is just a part of who we are, but it's not everything.
And also just what work takes away from us. I remember one of the conversations I've had is like, work can also make you indifferent in face of injustice, because you don't want to be seen like, you don't
Yep.
want to say
Yep.
the wrong thing. I mean, you don't want to say the right thing and be fired for it. You know?
Yes,
So
yes,
you're just there as injustice.
Just observe.
Yeah, you just observe. So what work takes away from you in certain, and the higher you go, the more is taken away. The higher the ladder that you go, like I've seen it, your privacy is taken away, your so much gets taken away the higher you go, So by the time now, when all that is stripped away, where you step on, it's always very catastrophic, because you don't have, you don't have a farm bit. So we also have to calculate the, I don't know whether it's the opportunity cost that comes with work. What does work really take away from you? And what is your return to normalcy path if at all something happens? What would that sort of look like? And I agree with you on the sense of us discovering what our talents are early enough that we can start practicing them. You've talked about woodwork, it's been a dream for me since childhood. Niko na mbao, I'm building beehives,
Yeah.
for example.
Yeah.
I can't just find the time to go and sit down and like sort of hammer it, you know. But I know inside me there's a carpenter
Yeah.
that is quietly sitting,
Yeah.
that always gets fascinated by. I've been watching this stool since we entered here, and I was like, how did it get joined? And
Yeah.
you know,
I know how to do it.
you know how to do this. This is so beautiful, you know. Yeah, this is what we want, you know. Like, how do we discover our talent? And I think this is the hidden meaning within the CBC curriculum.
Yeah.
But we don't get there because also the narrative that we get out of here is like, oh, the profound things that we must be sort of doing there. And there's another film that I've watched that I'd recommend for everybody. It's called Blue Zones. And they went across the world and they investigated. It was one that I watched during this transition period. They investigated the people that lived to 100 years. What did they have that others didn't? And
Is that in Japan?
they went to Japan, but they also went to other. They also went to Italy. They went to Japan was one of the places that they checked. They went to Italy. They went to even the US. To an SDA community in the US. And they were like, you know, so they did find that diet does contribute a lot.
It's everything.
It's everything. It's foundational. And they were like, it's not about wheat, because they went in places where people ate wheat and they were still okay. They ate pizza. But it's also how they made the dough, how they crafted, you know, sourdough and all that kind of stuff. You know? And they went into some other place and they were like, it's not even about wine. You know, they went into another place. People were drinking wine with every, you know, so it wasn't just about that. But it was the social meaning, you know, that some of these people drew from the drinking together. You know, the guys would just show up and they would enjoy a drink and they would talk about their problems and they would talk about their happinesses and they would reminisce. So by the time everybody goes home, their heart is full of love. And so they can have another night. But above that, what work meant. You know, and this is where the concept of Ikigai for me becomes so profound. How do you integrate your world to be what you can be paid for, what the world needs, and what you're good at? That is also the journey that I'm in right now, that I'm good at this thing. If you give me a class, for example, you will find that it has been well done well. And I don't have to use so much effort because I've become a master of this craft over and over. Like you cook tea, you become better at making tea all the time. This is how hotels, some of the hotels have become sort of signature. So how do you become a master of this craft? So then you do more with less effort, but you do it, you know, sort of quality. It comes out of that. Then how does the work give you meaning? You know, go to the convents because they found their passion, you know, unless some accident happens, they live a very fulfilling life.
You know, I wanted to become a nun when I was younger.
Oh, yeah.
In primary school. You know? So even now, I have just like a deep respect for nuns and the priesthood. And I'm a Catholic.
Okay. Yeah.
So I feel like, how would that have been? You know, ingekuwaje sasa ningekuwa, you know?
Ungekuwa
But I
kwa
have
community.
friends who are nuns and, you know, it's just, I feel very warm when I'm in their presence.
Yeah.
Very, very warm.
Exactly. You know, because they found we call this calling, you know, and I feel like for all of us, our work should be our calling, you know.
Yeah.
If we align it to that and it's in service of beyond us, you know, if it's in service beyond us, it doesn't take away that we have to participate in the economy as is. Like still have to do branding. I still have to look for people to teach. I still have to get people to pay for the service that is there, you know. But at least I'm beginning from a foundation that this is the service that I'm offering this is not a job. This is not work. This is a service that I'm providing. And out of it, a certain income can come. But I will not kick out people because they can't afford to. If I'm teaching something, I'm not going to kick somebody out if they can sit in. And that's the offer. I mean, that's the offering that I'll be making in such type of instance. So I think the more we integrate our core calling with the stuff that we do, the less we will feel tied to this concept of work for pay, because it's tiresome and it's exhausting. At some point, you see some teachers going on retire and they're like, oh my God, what was that?
Yeah.
You know, or you see, you know, just some people, by the time they drag themselves to retirement, they're so tired. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the future of work? As you do just finish about this work thing. I mean, the machines are coming, robots are doing everything. And I was listening to something about how AI and ethics. You have this machine operating on you, and then now there's an ethical addition that they have to make. What happens? So just forget about that. It was very interesting. But what's the future of work? And are we getting replaced?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Because
Nothing can.
people are still going to school to learn.
Yes.
Then machines are taking all our jobs. Where do these people go?
Yeah. Nothing can ever replace human beings in totality.
True.
It cannot.
True.
Nothing can ever
That one I
replace
agree
them.
100%.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the whole fear mongering around technology, and it will just replace certain responsibilities that people have been assigned. I didn't say roles, certain responsibilities, because when you're a clerk, you're assigned a responsibility of being, but there's the role that you serve in this universe. And I think if you ask me, the future of work is in people identifying what is their role in this universe. What do they come here to do? It requires a deeper sense of spirituality, introspection, asking, and querying, and learning from all the signs that are sent your way. For example, why did you start these conversations? You felt most likely called to, I need to create this type of conversation because I see it would help a lot more people. Do you get paid to do it? Maybe not.
No, I don't get paid.
You don't get paid. Exactly. But
I never, and probably people tell me I'm not Kikuyu enough. I never have the desire for money as such. Money is good. It makes your life easier and makes you happy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very varied. But I never have not greed. I never have the desire for money. I can say that. It's going to come. It's going to make my life comfortable.
Yeah.
But I'm not thinking about money sana. Like, oh my God, how am I going to make more money? No, I don't have that in
and
me.
it will come your way anyway because you're open to receiving it. So I feel like the future of work will be people aligning with their higher calling,
Okay.
because no amount of technology can replace that. The service that you're offering, yes, is through technology, but the way you tell stories, the way you reach to people's heart, the way I felt when you requested me and we've kept talking, you can never replace that with a chatbot. For example, it's human relations. How you get your people to come and talk to, how you choose the person who needs to come and pass this message at this particular point in time, how you open up this space for them. All that is very human relations. So I think the future of work is in people understanding what is their higher calling. And for me, one of the realities was like so after that, what did we set up a consulting company. And we actually called it, like we say that it's built on cottage culture. We want a few clients that we can serve well for as long as we can meet our financial obligations. That's it. That we can pay our bills and we can save some and develop, like just the usual, And once we've done with our intention is not to grow too big or whatever it is. It's like serving the people that we have brought on board and serving them well. And other people look at you the same way, like, oh, why are you not intending to grow big? No. In a world that desires for big, find your rhythm. Find your rhythm because, you want to parent. You want to parent well. So just take enough work so then you can have the room to parent because that's also service. That's not work. When you're serving your children, that's not working. It's like, it's a service that you're playing your role as a parent, and you don't need to get tired, because it starts to feel like work. And then you then delegate it to a nanny or someone else because that is happening. And it would require for humans to develop that capacity that which machines will not. This is natural intuition, ethical decision making, where you really have to consult with yourself and be like, is this morally right, or this is ethical for me to proceed? Because the machine will proceed and cut, because that's what it's been programmed to do. But you'll be like, no, I need to change that.
Now, what do you do when you're not working?
What do I do when I am not working? Now, wow, now that is So I come to Nairobi to work. I would say so. I come to Nairobi to work.
Okay.
It's where the economy is.
Yeah.
But if you find me out of Nairobi, I am keeping bees. I am learning how to drum. I am recording traditional music with the few remaining Kamba griots. I am listening to stories of 70-year-olds, 80-year-olds, just sitting with them. I am brewing what I'm now calling the Kamba kombucha. I'm fermenting sugarcane juice with ginger and all that kind of stuff, and I'm finding so much fun around that. I'm organizing a very important event. It's a men's circle. Like we used to have a men's circle called Dhome in Kamba. And so when I find a moment to get out of this city, I go and I call, other younger men who would love to learn something about the culture.
Okay.
And we sit down, we make a meal, we get something to drink, and we just talk and talk and talk and talk hours until whoever starts to doze off, around a fireplace. So I'm doing that,
That's nice.
at least once a month,
Yeah.
to reconnect with culture.
And these are just meetups in the village. You don't have the
village.
same in Nairobi.
No.
I think if in Nairobi they would do well. You get men to talk about not women, not alcohol, not these nonsensical things.
Yeah.
Soccer is good, but I find it just too much.
Yeah.
I think it would do well in Nairobi if you got the right circle.
If you got the right circle, yes, it would. And if there are no TVs around, because, and if they're, because what we do when we get out into the villages, we go in nature and we light a fire. So you're only listening to the environment and the fire.
Yeah.
And here in the city, it's like the TV and the radio and the lights, and there's a lot of these distractions. And
So
you
it
even
probably
can't
would
put a
work if
fire.
you went out of town.
If you
And disconnect sort of.
disconnect sort
Yeah,
of and
yeah.
remove your shoes, just feel earth.
Grounding, yeah?
Ground. Yeah, just ground, participate with
Yeah.
nature and listen, tune to the frequency of nature. That's like sort of where, it calms you down to the point. We're all still agitated here because of all these electromagnetism that, the lights,
Yeah.
all these gadgets that we are with. But I'd love to model it in Nairobi, and it gives me sadness that public spaces are becoming so expensive and inaccessible and so regulated. Where can you put up a fire in this city? A bonfire, for example. It's it's a catastrophe. It's a hazard that would be coming through, and also sleeping. Sleeping is very important when I'm not working.
Sleep is so important.
Sleep is so important.
I follow this guy called Brian Johnson.
Yes.
He's trying not to die. He says we should not die. So he's done so many things to his body, healthy things,
Yes.
all these tests. He takes, I think, probably like 100 tablets in a day. I'll send you his link.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just fascinating
Yeah.
and so interesting to see his life. And he looks really good. Somebody interviewed him and he said he's the most softest he has ever seen.
Yeah.
He looks unreal.
I want to see. Send me. I want to
So
experience. Yeah.
his main goal, he's saying, you get sick in your old age because you didn't sleep enough, you didn't take care of your health, you didn't eat well and all that. So he's doing everything right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
And now I think he's in his 40s, 50s. And now he's saying he's aged backwards. And then he has all these tests.
Yeah.
I'll send you. It's just so fascinating.
Yeah.
So going back to sleep.
Yes.
So the one main thing that he says is go to sleep.
Yes.
Sleep.
8 hours.
So
if you can.
so he does. He has an app that shows how he's sleeping, deep sleep, when he's awake, when he's dreaming. It's just amazing. So I remember when I got the baby, I think probably things I've had before, usingizi, sasa usahau mambo ya kulala and all that. And of course that was there initially.
Yeah.
And of course now as the baby grows up, anaanza kulala vizuri. And then this year I went back to running, proper running.
Yeah.
So I have to wake up early. So I have to sleep early.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So sleep is so important. I'm the kind of person, if I'm out probably like on a Saturday, which is hardly ever,
Yeah.
by 9, I'm like, Irene, tomorrow I have a long run.
Yes.
I can engage in this, you know?
Exactly.
I can indulge in this. So sleep is so important.
It is absolutely.
When I was younger, I used to sleep so much. My mom would just come and check, Connie wamekufa, you know, because I would sleep.
Yes.
My son sleeps the same.
Yes.
Kanalala, kanalala, kanalala.
Yeah.
And then now even going back now to thinking about him waking up, he's going to grow up, of course. But him not sleeping enough because he has to go to school so early, it's just unfair.
It's unfair.
It's very, very unfair.
Yeah, we don't wake up our babies.
Yeah.
We don't wake them up.
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
Even if they're late for school, it's fine.
Yeah.
Or whatever. They'd rather not go. But rest is so important.
It
and
is so
teaching
important.
them to prioritize rest. Like when the babies came, I used to sleep 5 hours or less than 5 hours. And oh my goodness, the amount of substance that you have to take to stay awake the following day from coffee, tea, sugar, you know, just count all of it is a lot. Now keep repeating that cycle for, you know. And one of my doctors told me that sleep is a debt that you pay with compound interest. You pay with compound interest, and you don't pay it as sleep. You pay it as some other condition, you know, that sort of develops because of this lack of rest. So if I find an afternoon that I am free, I sneak into the blanket and I sleep until whatever time, you know, and
I
then
like
when
that.
I wake up, you just continue with the rest of the day, you know. And Sunday afternoon naps have become my favorite. You know, if I'm able to take a Sunday afternoon nap, I know that my Monday will be better. The body will have repaired itself. And how they get you in this capitalist economy is sleep deprivation. It starts so early. Immediately you start to do your job. And it leads to addiction. It leads to a lot of a lot of bodily, you know, issues. Because if you spend 3 hours in traffic every day, and you still have to do your personal chores, the time that is taken away is your sleep time.
True.
And then multiply that by years. That's how blood pressure, cholesterol of eating, all these things that we're sort of dealing with, they end out of it. They have a root to sleep.
True.
Or the lack of it.
Yeah, I think also sleep comes when you have peace. And peace probably, before you find it, utahangaika kidogo.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think if you are able to sleep, I'm happy for anybody who's able to do that, because now I know you have peace, which is so important.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mimi ulala kabisa, because I think I've structured my life in a way that I am a stoic, of course, learning every day. So I don't overburden my mind with too much.
Okay.
You know, I release, I don't get too caught up, I don't attach too much. And I'm not saying that now I detach from everybody and everything, because that is fake, because we are born and we are supposed to attach to things. But I don't, not the word care, I don't let it overburden my mind. I just, life is fluid. I let it flow. If it's working out, fine. If it's not, it's sour. I'll try something else. Greg, are you happy?
Very happy. I couldn't be happier. If you would see me 5 years ago, I had dreads for like 14 years.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Send me a photo.
Oh my goodness. You'll see a stark difference between then and now.
Yeah.
Some people tell me I've lost 10 years since I started taking better care of myself.
Okay.
Being happy with whatever comes. You know, every morning I wake up and I say a very short mantra. I'm like, you know, may this day bring me all the lessons that I need, all the insights that I need, and all the blessings that I need. It captures everything.
Yeah.
Every experience that you might not like, it's a lesson. It's trying to teach you something. You know, for example, whatever comes your way, you know, whether it's money or whatever, it's a blessing that is coming. And when you're calm and collected, that's how you get insights about what does this mean? You know, even for yourself, like, what does this podcast mean? You will get that insight from a moment of calm and being collected. And for that to happen, you have to have peace. And, you know, I'm particularly happy because this way of living that is light, as you mentioned, that gives you peace, that is light, that is purposeful, that is that comes with insight. generally just brings you towards happiness. Every day I remember I've studied this ladder of human vibration, and it starts from the lowest. I think it's shame, guilt, and at 50, and you can vibrate all the way to 700, which is where you reach enlightenment and beyond. But in between that, there's everything about love, joy. And so I remind myself every day that the energy that I'm channeling and frequency is joy. And joy, happiness, they all relate to together. It doesn't mean that all days are smooth. It doesn't mean that some days I don't lose my mind.
Yeah.
But I have more better days than previously.
That's nice. The world is ending the next 60 seconds. How do you check out?
Well, to give you gratitude for extending this moment where we can share stories and inspire. I always believe that another world is possible, another reality is possible, and I get so hurt when I see all of us going into the same cattle deep, knowing that you can still spray your cattle at home. You don't have to bring, you can still. I think you're building in that vision, and it's to affirm you for what you're doing for that, and to appreciate any viewer that gets touched by this message, and feels like, hey, need to reach out or need to follow up, because it's the essence. We are here to help each other. One of the people I read is called Ram Dass, and he says, like, we are just here helping each other home. So if you feel touched and you want to have a follow-up conversation, I mean, absolutely fantastic. And the people that make this happen, they work behind the scenes. You never see them. It's what we call the unseen labor.
Yeah.
like motherhood. It has a lot of unseen labor,
yeah.
to also extend that gratitude. And just tell people, like, yeah, the world is quite an amazing place if we find our balance. And we are so much out of balance because, one, I feel we've lost our ancestral connection. There's a lot of wisdom we could tap into what our ancestors did, including from naming names and how we've sort of ignored that, how we don't have even moments that we appreciate those that survived famine.
Can I ask you?
Yes,
kids'
please.
Names?
Yeah.
Kids' names?
My kids' names, Kyoko and Kasui.
What does it mean? What do they mean?
Kasui means a young chick.
Oh, yeah, even in Kikuyu.
Yeah, Gashui.
Kasui, yeah.
Yes. So it has two levels of meaning. One is that literal meaning, but it also means an offspring.
Yes.
My offspring. And Kyoko means morning, new dawn, and it is quite a common name in my fraternity. In my maternal and paternal fraternity. So I was like, it's just a good name to bring.
Yeah.
So yeah, my kids are mixed race, but their first name is Kamba.
Very
so
nice.
they are Kyoko Pierre and Kasui Marie.
Very nice.
Yeah.
My son is called Otheri.
Otheri.
Otheri. Yeah. Like light.
Light.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Yeah,
called
beautiful.
Otheri. Yeah.
Well, I found. I'm glad that you bring the conversation about names. The whole naming the whole naming culture is we've partly lost it and lost this meaning in how it used to be presented. I'm sure I listened to a podcast from Kikuyu called Ngemi. There were different Ngemis for when a boy is born, when like that kind of stuff. So I did an analysis about names and how the names that surround you mean something. And I realized that I was surrounded by nephews and nieces who were named after their grandfather or their grandmothers. They're now the Gen Z. So the energy that partly you're seeing with part of this Gen Z movement is because they have brought back the energy of their ancestors in their naming.
That's very interesting.
Go do your own investigation.
That makes so much sense to me when you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes so much sense.
Yeah. And that's why we are like, we don't understand them. We don't, we cannot, we can't tell where this confidence, that this energy, it is the ancestors have come back.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Interesting.
They're here.
Yeah.
So anyway, I couldn't get all this done without taking time off to go and, read books and try to understand and pick with outside of work, because this is not paid work. But please do your homework. This is a hypothesis. See if any of the Gen Z come with names of their ancestors. And I think the ancestral energy is coming and it's demanding that which was taken out of it. So I see a lot of this pacification that tells, like, you guys sit down and no, these guys have no idea
It's just getting started.
It's getting started.
Yeah.
It's really getting started. Because also, like, for example, if you observe some of the values that they share, there's solidarity, and not performative solidarity. It's genuine solidarity, like we're in this together.
Courage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's also a sense of integrity, like a sense of integrity that also comes with this generation. They want to connect with causes that they believe, that they believe in, and that they are not tied to the traditional concept of work. So they're looking back and being like, we want more fluidity. I want to be able to eat well, sleep well, party well, but I don't want to be obligated to a boss or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So then they're going back into, I want to be a master of my craft. I want to be, yes, I don't, staki cheo, I just want to be an entrepreneur. And for as long as I'm making, and that I make the best ice cream, you come for the best ice cream. I make the best videos, you come for the best. And that's it. It's not like us who are like so vertical rising in that ladder. So I tend to see that some of those similarities are there. They just need to be nurtured. They just need to be reinforced and validated. But we're in the generation of our ancestors. They are here. We are them. Yeah.
Because I saw the president at the Nation of Prayer today, asking for forgiveness if, they've been too harsh, So probably he needs to hear what you're saying. It's the ancestors now who've come, who've come alive.
Yeah.
And it's going to get not worse, like they're not going to relent on what they want and what they believe in.
No.
Yeah.
We have to find, they are not, it's not going to happen easily. It's not going to be, because the lie has become, we survived the lie as millennials. Them, they see the lie through. They see the lie through and through. They've even used words like gaslighting, stop. We couldn't say that. We weren't that emotionally aware. They would understand that there's something called gaslighting. That kind
even
of
as we're learning these things now.
We're learning these things now. So they're more emotionally aware, emotionally, emotionally aware, than we were. And so it's not gone down. Is you can't just wish this off. For example, so people that have a different work ethic, work culture, the value that they attach to time and life is different from that which we attach to time and life. It's completely different, They've also seen a lot of their young friends die early on in their life, out of different conditions, out of different, suicides included, so they have a different perception of time and life than we have, sort of had in those in those years. And there's that energy that could be interpreted as anger, but basically it's like this system has been too distorted for us. And one of the things that I love, especially working with that generation, is their curiosity for knowledge. I teach classes where people want to rediscover their language. And
Really?
yes, and they're dedicated and they feel bad that they missed it. Okay. And they can't wait to go. They want to understand their traditional music. Part of the projects I run is called Santuri Electronic Music Academy. And when we come and we introduce to them the big concept of music, they're like, where can I go and learn how to play a nyatiti or orutu or whatever? That thirst is there.
Yeah.
And they want to connect to it. And then I was like, that was not the same like us. We made kimengenges and all that kind of stuff in our high school, but we dropped them there.
Yeah.
But these guys, when they discovered there was more to us than we are shown, they're like, I want it now. I want to reconcile with my identity and that kind of stuff. And so I feel like this struggle is going to be, me, I'm aligning with this community. This struggle is here.
You're fully in.
Yeah, fully in. We are on this struggle together,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love house music.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. If you saw me at a concert,
yes.
huwezi nijua.
Yeah.
I'm a different person. I'm not this calm.
Yeah,
I don't drink alcohol anymore, but you'd think I'm high on something.
You're high on.
I am a different person. I love house music. I love just everything. It just takes me to a different place. My son loves music, of course, probably because of the father.
Yeah.
And probably I'll bring him to you.
Yes, wow.
Tuanze mapema.
Mapema.
He's always saying, can we dance? Can we, I want music. He plays the piano, of course, not in order, but he has that that eye for music.
Thanks for mentioning that. One of the things that I'm trying right now is percussion for children.
Okay.
Before helping kids find their one. Through percussion, just like tapping, that they find their that they want their own rhythm with their one using percussions,
Yes.
tambourines, little drums, little shakers, little. It's a very critical skill that we underestimate. But then that is the best introduction to music, even before they can learn guitar or piano or whatever. Just so a little trick, enda nyumbani and start hitting the cup and asking him to hit it back to
But him
mimic
is
that.
always drumming.
Always drumming.
Yeah, by himself.
Uh-huh.
I think probably I need to engage him more on that.
Find the one,
Yeah.
the timing that
Yeah.
they can follow a rhythm. Pum, pum, pum. You'll see their world change. It's a very little trick.
Yeah.
But like once they've identified that they can actually go in time,
Yeah.
then they'll never get tired with music.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I have a deep feeling that you meditate. Do you do meditation?
A lot.
Okay.
A lot.
I'm right. Uh-huh.
Yes. I meditate every morning. I meditate before I go to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about hypnotizing?
Hypnotizing.
Yeah.
Is it possible or not possible? Or what about
Just
it?
your thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about it? Then I'll share my thoughts.
Like many other energy related therapies, if I would call them that, like energy related therapies, it's an essential way of people getting out of the what I call, you're stuck in a loop, so your brain and your time always works in this particular loop that is very well protected because it's what is stored in your subconscious. So I feel like hypnosis helps you break away from that and move into the higher levels where now your brain can experience a lot more. A lot of us are tied back to the physical world out of the conditioning that we have gained. I mean, we've acquired, or the trauma that we are carrying with us, or all that we've been told. We cannot transcend beyond that. And I feel some of these energy-related therapies like hypnosis can help you break free from that conditioning, that frozen state of your subconscious brain that does not want to get out of fear. Then it lets you, sort of get onto a higher frequency.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts about hypnosis.
I'm always so curious, and probably one time I'll try.
Yeah.
I had a guest here who said, Mambo ya shetani, you cannot try that. But I'm always so curious. Of course, I haven't seen anybody go through it like in person, just on TV.
Yeah.
But it's so intriguing. Like, I want to try.
You want to
and
try?
Of course, I want it recorded.
Yeah.
Then I can see how I fared in the whole experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe you'll be too conscious that you can't, because it's about surrender.
I'm ready.
You're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
If there are cameras, then you might find it difficult to surrender because you don't know what direction you would go. But anyway, come on, try.
But
it.
I'll go ready, like release everything. Just let's do this.
Yeah. But there's a whole thing about like and I explore a lot of this, like in the quantum physics world. Once you understand like everything is energy and it's how you work with it, life becomes so simple. You then realize that there's just more to our brains and more to our bodies than the physicality of it. And that for me is what is exciting. So glad that you're curious about hypnosis.
Yeah, quite. What about dreams? When I dream and I remember the dream, I'm always trying to interpret it.
Meaning?
Even at night, probably when I dream and I wake up, I have to write it down. In the morning, how like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
And most of my dreams come true.
Yeah.
I hope some never come true though. But I'm always so keen to analyze my dreams.
Yeah.
What do you think about dreams?
I think dreams is about it's the universe speaking to you in one way or the other. I think where we fail is at meaning making. And that's where there were people who would interpret dreams, if you would remember them, that they'll help you like sort of process it. For me, for every dream that somebody has always appeared, I've always just wanted to pick like what is happening with them. So if it's somebody I know, I pick my phone and I give them a call. And it might be that actually they were thinking of me at the same time. They're like, I've been meaning to call Nasilia Nairobi. It's not like I was just me. No, it's like genuinely, I've been thinking about you. So you're like, oh, it was the time to remember to connect with this person. Some dreams also don't make meaning. In my situation, the more rested and meditative I am, the more dreaming I get. And
really?
Yes.
For me, it's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Yeah, I don't dream. Like now, I'm at so much peace. I don't dream.
Yeah.
I dream when there's just vitu kwa akili. But when I'm chill,
it doesn't happen.
I don't dream. Yeah.
I have no idea. For me, I have to be at a complete state of rest and happiness and whatever. And I tend to feel like that's how the universe communicates with me. If I have,
Because you're open to receive. Okay,
yes,
interesting. Yeah.
and if I have anybody that maybe I had drama with and it's not resolved, it will reappear.
Yeah, because
I've
dreams
seen
are
that.
about whatever
Processing.
is in the conscious now coming, yeah, for the
Exactly.
subconscious.
Yeah.
I think the dream I always struggle with is when I dream and then I remember so clearly, and there's a stranger, I can see their face, but I don't know who the hell this is. That one sijaipata answer. You can see this person, unamwona kwa dream vizuri,
Yeah.
everything, but you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably
Where,
one day I'll meet them and I'm like, I've seen you in my dreams, which is so creepy, but
yeah.
I've seen you in my dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we
yeah.
need to do? Where are dream interpreters? Where are they, these people anymore?
Yeah. I think I should become one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we should bring these people that Wangari Maathai says they plump the psyche to help people understand,
Yeah.
you know, make meaning out of life, you
Which
know.
is so important.
It is
yeah.
so
Yeah,
important.
so important. Yeah.
Even if it functions as placebo, just for the sake of affirmation, nothing is wrong with that.
Yeah.
But it helps you have some level of settlement.
True.
Or dreams.
Yeah, Greg, this has been one of my best conversations.
Thank
It
you.
was so good to have you. I was right to actually reach out to you and tell you to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, intuition was right.
I appreciate that.
Thank you
as
so
well.
much for coming.
Until the next one, please.
Yes.
Stay well and I wish you all the
We'll
best.
see you around.
Asante.
Thank you so much.